Well, hey there, friends. This breaking news is certainly not Second Amendment related, but it definitely will have an impact on every single one of us depending on how you look at it. Before I get too deep into this video, I'd like for you guys to go visit my friends from Falco Holsters over at falcoholsters.com. I'm teaming up with them to design some new holster designs, and I'd love for you guys to go check them out. Falco Holsters, they do a great job. falcoholsters.com. Former President Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social social media network, "Our nation is now third world and dying. The American dream is dead. The radical left anarchists have stolen our presidential election." That's actually spelled wrong. "And with it, the heart of our country. American patriots are being arrested and held in captivity like animals." This is true. "While criminals and leftist thugs are allowed to roam the streets, killing and burning with no retribution." Again, true. "Millions are flooding through our open borders, many from prisons and mental institutions. Crime and inflation are destroying our very way of life." This was the beginning of his tweet, or truth, if you want to call it what they call it on the Trump social network. He went on to state, page 2, "Now illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan District Attorney Office, which has allowed new records to be set in violent crime and whose leader is funded by George Soros, indicate that with no crime being able to be proven, and based on an old and fully debunked by numerous other prosecutors fairy tale, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States of America will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest, take our nation back." Obviously, he's talking about himself when he says the former president and leader, frontrunner, whatever. This all goes back to the Stormy Daniels story. If you'll remember, there were allegations in 2016 that Donald Trump's attorney, I think Cohen was his name, paid Stormy Daniels, who is a stripper and a porn star queen, paid her $130,000 to shut up. Apparently they had had it in some kind of an affair or anything like that. And that was hush money, allegedly. Now, nothing else has ever come out about this other than Stormy Daniels and her attorney, who is now in jail, coming out and saying that this took place. There is no proof that it took place or anything like that. In fact, I would almost consider her breaking the law because I don't think prostitution is legal in New York. And if she got $130,000 for sleeping with Donald Trump, that would make her a really high-priced hooker. So it appears that this DA in Manhattan, who is funded by his campaign, actually received $1 million from George Soros in his election campaign in 2021. So this guy is absolutely funded and paid for by George Soros, again, to the tune of $1 million in 2021. So that's what's leading all of this. That's where this push is coming from. Clearly, Trump has reason to believe that this is actually going to take place. In fact, Trump has come out and said that he's not going to fight this as far as the arrest goes, that he's going to go through with it and let them arrest him. He'll more than likely voluntarily be arrested or turn himself in rather than succumb to being handcuffed or whatever down in Mar-a-Lago, which is where he is right now. Remember, this is a case that took place in Manhattan. He is currently in Mar-a-Lago right now. They would actually have to go down to Florida in order to arrest him and bring him back to New York City. Now, I found it equally interesting that here a little while ago, Donald Trump also posted a tweet on his Truth Social network from a John Cordillo, who said, "New York City law enforcement sources telling me that the Manhattan DA's office is in chaos. They're telling me about 60% of the office wants no part of this and wishes Bragg and Rice would just drop the nonsense. They all know there is no crime, apparently all being driven by a small group of radicals at the top, very similar to Russiagate." So here we go again, a waste of taxpayer dollars. Again, this is New York money, so I don't really care about the money being spent because they're already mismanaging money anyhow. But it's another case of taxpayers funding a witch hunt. I don't care what your opinion is of Trump from a Second Amendment standpoint, because I have my own opinions, and I've been very critical of Donald Trump in regards to his due process comments and his bump stock comments. However, there were some policy things that were put in place that really did good for our country. Tell me if you're worse off or better off today than you were during Trump's term. I'll wait till you answer that. Now, a lot of people are speculating that this could potentially be an effort to harm Donald Trump's reelection bid. In other words, some people even go so far as to say that indicting Trump, or convicting him, of course, would hurt his chances. Well, that is not the case. It could hurt his chances from an image standpoint but not from a legal standpoint. Legal people have already come out and said that the Constitution does not state that anything other than being an American citizen for 14 years, a natural born citizen? Yeah, it says only that natural born citizens who are at least 35 years old and have been a resident of the U.S. for 14 years can run for president. There have been previous Supreme Court decisions that have stated that you can't just add new qualifications in order to be president. In fact, there are state laws that say that you can't preclude somebody from being president just because of some kind of a, quote, criminal record. So this looks to be kind of, if anything else, an effort simply to damage Trump's image. My personal opinion, and a lot of other people, is that all this is going to do is solidify Trump's base. I don't think this does anything to hurt him. There is no one out there who hasn't made up their mind on Donald Trump. If there are any people out there who haven't made up their mind on Donald Trump, they're probably thinking people. In other words, the people that hate him will always hate him. Nobody new will hate him. The people who adore him will always adore him. Nobody new will adore him. But people who might be split are probably free-thinking people. And this may be the one thing that they need to solidify their support for Donald Trump whenever they realize this is truly a witch hunt. Trump has come out and said that whether he's indicted or convicted, that he is still going to run for president, and this will not change any of his decisions going forward on what he does as far as the election. I think that there should probably be, and probably will be, some people higher ranking in the Democratic Party that will probably try to put a stop to this before Tuesday. I know that they want this to happen to Trump because they hate him so much and they just want more trouble for him. But surely they have to have enough common sense to realize that if this goes through, it probably does them more harm than good. So I think this is kind of a big deal. And I think as things roll into Tuesday, we're probably going to see a whole lot more people speak out. And if nothing else, this is going to be a way for Trump to see who really supports him. It's going to be able to out the detractors or out the supporters who really are going to get behind him. So look for a very interesting next 2 or 3 days leading up to Tuesday.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.